Welcome to Top Gear Motorsport from Lloret de Mar on the Costa Brava. No, I'm not here on holiday. We're here for the 33rd running of the Rally Catalunya, the 5th round of the World Rally Championship. Can Colin McRae, who won this event last year, become the season's first two-time winner? Spain is a country where rallying is almost a religion, where the drivers are saints and where the congregations are enormous. And one driver is revered above all others, Carlos Sainz. Just before his country's most important rally, doesn't all this pressure sometimes become a little too intense?
No, I think the pressure is always there in a World Championship rally, and you try always to do your best and try to beat the rest. And of course, here in Spain, you know, you always like, or I always would like to have a nice rally and a clean rally.
For this event, Subaru replaced Kenneth Eriksson with their tarmac specialist, the relaxed Piero Liatti.
Yes, I am even more confident than in Monte Carlo, because now I saw in Monte Carlo that I can win, so I am more quiet, I'm more relaxed from last year, so I'm pretty well confident.
Francois Delacour made a return to the world stage in a Formula 2 Peugeot, and Uwe Nittel was back as well.
And your position as number 2 here in Catalunya for Mitsubishi, has that put you under a lot of pressure?
Of course, it's a pressure when you are nominated for a manufacturer team. The Mitsubishi guys tell me for this year it's for me important to see the finish line, and this for me a learning year and nothing else matters.
What's the competition going to be like here in Catalunya?
Oh, it wouldn't be much at all.
Round 5 of the 1997 FIA World Rally Championship is the first of 3 all-tarmac events in the series. Traditionally held in October, this year's Rally of Spain, better known as the Rally Catalunya, moved to the warm sunshine of April for the first time. The 3-day event consisted of 2 legs to the northwest of the host town, with the middle day spent on the rougher roads in the hills south of Barcelona. Tommy Mackinnon's Mitsubishi led the cars into the first of the rally's 18 stages. Tommy's never really shone on tarmac. The crowds wondered whether Catalunya would be any different. Last October, Colin McRae won here after a thrilling last-day battle with Piero Liatti. Together with Sainz, the local hero, the 2 Subaru drivers started as favourites and were immediately setting times within a handful of seconds of each other. But the crowds had eyes for only one man, Sainz. He, though, was having a frustrating morning, rear brake problems making his Ford Escort difficult to control under heavy braking. After the second stage, Sainz was in a disappointing 6th place.
Izquierda corta de cierre y no cortar. Sasar mucho para esa calenta corta de tierra. Para izquierda abrir y se frenan. Izquierda buena menos se cierra. Sasar.
2 places behind Sainz was his teammate Armin Schwartz, who was suffering from the same problem. Piero Liatti's missed the last 3 rounds of the championship, but was out to show that the victory in Monte Carlo was no fluke. After the first pair of stages, he and co-driver Fabrizio Pons were 5th.
But the upset of the first morning was provided by the Peugeot team and their front-wheel drive Formula 2 cars, 270 kilos lighter than the four-wheel drive opposition. The free-revving 2-litre engines produce a power-to-weight advantage of nearly 50 horsepower per tonne. The dry tarmac negated much of the four-wheel drive car's traction advantage, and after the first 2 stages, Gilles Panizzi and Francois Delacour led the field, 5 seconds clear of Colin McRae. At the first service area, not surprisingly, the attention was focused on the 2 Frenchmen.
Francois, before the rally, everybody was talking about Liatti, McRae, all the other drivers. Nobody even talked about the Peugeots. How come you're so fast, so quick?
Yeah, but you know, it's all the time the same story. We know, but everybody, nobody was speaking about also Gilles Panizzi, because nobody knows Gilles, and Gilles is a very good driver because now he's leading the rally. And for sure, our car is competitive. The team is so competitive because they have good experience in World Championship 10 years ago with Turbo 16, and we knew before the start that our car was so fast.
Peugeot have come from nowhere. How come they're so fast?
Well, they've been running in France on similar roads, asphalt roads in France. The technical regulations allow their cars to be a lot lighter, so their power-to-weight ratio is exceptionally good. We've got dry conditions here in Spain. It's the perfect conditions for them.
We've been complaining for a long time that the restrictor in this engine is too small and the tyres we have in the tarmac are too narrow. And this Formula 2 car is the same tyre as we have and no restriction in the engine and more than 300 kilos lighter than our car.
But in terms of the championship, the battle's not with them, is it? It's with the Fords and with the Mitsubishis.
Yeah, but the problem is they take 10 points. That's the problem.
Peugeot's incredible start suffered a setback on stage 3 when Delacour went off the road and lost around 3 minutes. Panizzi, though, set yet another fastest time and extended his lead to 13 seconds, while Delacour's efforts to make up the lost time were obvious and entertaining. The rally's first casualties were Seat. First, the Spanish team lost former World Championship regular Bruno Thierry on stage 4 with a blown engine. And then Oriol Gomez, one of the star performers on last year's event, retired halfway through stage 5 when the gearbox refused to select any gears.
Quatre castanyes graves. Passat.
As the first day drew to a close, Rafael Sperer's Renault Megane was 10th. Peugeot's perfect start to the rally, meanwhile, had finally ended. They'd set or shared fastest time on the first 5 stages, but on the 6th, the puncture cost Panizzi nearly 2.5 minutes, dropping him to 9th. 8th at the end of the day was the Subaru of Portugal's Rui Madeira. The two Fords had been off the pace all day. Schwartz was 7th.
Right 3, 120. Caution, left too tight. Caution, left too tight.
One place ahead was the second Peugeot in the top 10. Jamie Ashkona hadn't quite been able to match the pace of Delacour and Panizzi, but Panizzi's puncture meant that he now led the Formula 2 class in 6th place overall. Carlos Sainz was 5th, cheered on by the ever-faithful crowds, but frustrated at the problems which had left him nearly a minute behind the leader.
Para izquierda rápido, poco cortarás, abrirse. Izquierda buena, más in quinta, se diera poco. 2.
Italy had 2 Subaru drivers in the top 4. Angelo Medeghini, co-driven by his wife Barbara, was 4th, a brilliant performance against the might of the powerful factory teams. The top 3 were separated by just 12 seconds. Tommy Mackinnon's days as a gravel specialist looked to be over. The Finn was 3rd. But just as on the last occasion the World Championship visited Catalonia, it was 2 Subarus which dominated. Liati ended the day in 2nd place. He and Colin McRae were separated by the narrowest of margins, so day 2 would see an almost exact copy of the thrilling climax to the 1996 event, which McRae eventually won.
32 right plus tightens, maybe slippy exit.
Is it fair to say that you drive best when you're coming from behind, trying to make up time?
No, it's not true. It's not. No, it's. I think there's no difference there. Wherever you are, if it's hard competition, it's you try to concentrate and try to do your best wherever you are.
Une crevaison 500-600 mètres après le départ. Je suis continué pour pas changer la roue parce que changer une roue c'est beaucoup de temps de perdu. Donc on concède, on perd quand même 2 minutes sur le scratch et malheureusement le rêve avec.
Like last year, you and Piero really close, just a second between you with a couple of days to go. Is it going to be like this all the way to the finish?
It looks like it. I mean, it was like that last year. There's no reason why it wouldn't be the same again. I think it'll be a close battle all the way to the end.
After leg one, 6 stages, less than a minute separated the top 5, with McRae and Liati just a second apart and Mäkinen another 11 behind.
This being the first proper tarmac rally, the cars are in very different specification to the first 4 rounds. The Subaru team spent 6 days last week in Corsica trying different tyres and different suspension settings. Now, just 2 days before the rally, at the shakedown day, they're going out to check their chosen setup. In Spain, the organisers had closed a short section of tarmac road in the mountains, and most of the teams took advantage of the chance to check they'd got their settings right. But how different are the tarmac cars from those prepared for gravel?
Obviously the surface is much smoother and constant on asphalt. On the gravel you're more worried about the rocks damaging the underneath of the car, so you can set the cars much lower and run them much stiffer.
The basic car is very similar. There's no major difference in the chassis or the engine or transmission setup. The big differences are in the suspension and the tyres. The setup of the car is a compromise between running the car high enough and soft enough to give a very nice ride and give good grip, and low enough and stiff enough to keep the car stable and precise in handling.
At the shakedown, Subaru confined their attention to giving Colin and Piero the chance to try out the 2 different sorts of tyre they might use on the event. But that didn't take all day, so once their debrief was over... Colin, your shakedown done. Are you happy with your car?
Yeah, very happy, yeah, feels good.
So, ready for the rally now, and maybe you've got time to take me for a ride?
If you like, yeah.
Oh no, I thought he'd say that.
You said it was easy earlier, so come on, I'll show you what it's really like.
No sooner said...
Don't worry, it's just warming up the tyres.
The test stage was swarming with spectators, providing a genuine feeling for the real thing. The only difference was that Colin knew the stage well, so I didn't have to read any pace notes. I was expecting to be terrified, but I soon found myself grinning with the sheer delight of the experience.
It really is the smoothness that surprises you. I was expecting a really rough, harsh ride.
The suspension seemed to soak up the rough surface on the climb, and the new tarmac of the descent actually felt little different.
Even, I think everybody's surprised, even on the gravel sections as well, it is a very, very smooth ride in the car.
Yeah.
But I didn't go out there just to be driven. They offered me their test car to drive as well.
3, 2, 1, go. 30, long 3 right.
Long 3 right, that I should be in 3rd gear. I understand the speed.
70, left, tightens.
With Colin's co-driver Nicky Grist, I went on a crash course of trying to decipher Colin's pace notes. And you can find out if we survived on Top Gear Motorsport in 2 weeks' time.
Back on the rally, leg 2 was set in the Tarragona area, well to the south of Lloret de Mar, so the day began and ended with a long motorway drive. McRae, the rally leader, was the first to tackle the day's opening stage at over 20 miles, the longest of the day. His fans, complete with a model of their hero, were fighting a losing battle with the more vocal Sainz supporters. McRae, meanwhile, lost a second to Liati on that stage. The pair now shared the lead.
Into long 3 right line. Into 5 right minus line. And left tightens to 3 left minus. Into 5 right plus opens. And right into 2 left.
Liati lost a little ground to McRae on the next 2 stages, but as on so many other occasions so far this year, Subaru looked to be running away with the event, and no team orders. No orders for Tommy Mäkinen either. He set the fastest time on the opening stage to move to within 7 seconds of the pair.
Ja pitkä paha oikein. Pitkä oikein kiristyy.
Day 2's rougher stages initially didn't seem to suit the Peugeot of Panizzi, but after losing 18 seconds on stage 7, he set the fastest time on the next 2. He might have been down, but he was definitely not out. Sadly, the same couldn't be said of Armin Schwarz. The only championship contender to finish the first 4 rounds of the series ended his unbroken record when on stage 7 this happened. Besides filling the car with smoke, heat from a broken exhaust damaged the Escort's prop shaft, which broke completely on the next stage, making retirement almost inevitable.
Well, we had a very, very strange car halfway through the first stage. It was more and more understeering, and all of a sudden it started very badly to steam in the car and something like burning. And we got out of the stage, I couldn't see what it was, and the following stage we broke something on the transmission.
Ford's problems had only just started, however. On the very next stage after Schwartz had gone out, it was his team leader's turn to experience transmission trouble. On the early part of the stage, there was no hint of the latest in a string of unfortunate incidents to slow Sainz.
No, izquierda buena, poco tarde se se abre, no es quinta, no, no. Dos, izquierda rápida frenando. Para derecha buena, poco posible tercera salida, poco abrirse, uno.
As Sainz nursed the car through the stage, losing over 5 minutes and dropping to 12th as a result, the cause of his problem was a complete mystery. Carlos even opened his door at one point to see if he could identify the fault. Suspicion focused on the lightweight prop shafts fitted to both cars, made of composite materials rather than steel to save weight. In a bid to cure the problem, the Ford mechanics changed the offending prop shaft for a steel one. The cause, though, was still unclear.
When Armin had the problem on the previous stage, were you worried that the same might happen to you?
Well, I didn't know exactly what was his problem, but obviously it has happened for me the same.
The fact you're so far off the pace here, is that worrying for Corsica as well, which is only a couple of weeks down the line?
Yeah, it is worrying because, you know, we haven't got any more testing planned. We had a sort of a 2-week test here for this rally, which was obviously a combination to combined Corsica test. And you know, we've got a gravel test planned for sort of Argentina and Acropolis. So at the moment, as I say, we are having to have a rethink. But you know, there is some things that we know that we cannot, that won't be improved until the second half of the year.
Malcolm was probably wishing he could join the tourists to relax and enjoy some of the local pleasures. But there'll be no time for that in the foreseeable future. Ford weren't the only team to be having a miserable morning, though. Having already lost Bruno Thierry and Oriol Gomez on day one, Seat saw any remaining hopes vanish when Harry Rovanperä retired after an accident on stage 9. Skoda too began their journey home when Emil Triner joined his teammate Pavel Sibera on the rapidly growing list of retirements. Freddie Loix's third place for Toyota was one of the stories of the 1996 event, but the team was absent this year, concentrating instead on developing its new World Rally car. Argentina's Raul Sufan was the highest placed Toyota driver, but he was outside the top 10. In Group N, the Mitsubishi of Gustavo Trelles was in a class of his own, and he led by 4.5 minutes at the end of leg 2. After his early indiscretion, Francois Delacour was fighting back up the leaderboard, and by the end of the day, he would be in 7th place. Portugal's Rui Madeira, driving a Group A in Impreza for the Subaru All-Stars team, was 6th. And the identical machine of Angelo Medeghini ran 5th. So there were 4 Subarus in the top 6. The afternoon of leg 2 saw the overnight leader Colin McRae discover that even if you don't whack anything, you can get a puncture that ruins your rally.
Then into 6 left minus, you've got 10 Ks. Into K, 3 left tightens to minus long. Is the wheel gone?
It's just the tyres going off it now.
6 right and 3 right, 30.
Keep an eye on the front right-hand corner of the car.
6 left minus, your stop and change, shall we? 30, 3 left, tightens long.
Here. Not quite good, much further. It's the same as Safari.
Yeah.
Liati, passing the stricken Impreza, was now left to fight Mäkinen on his own. The puncture cost McRae and his co-driver Nicky Grist over 3.5 minutes, and they'd end the day in 4th place. The body damage at least would be fixed at the next service area.
We had a puncture very near the start, and we drove slowly to try and let the ME work. But it didn't work for whatever reason, we don't know, and we had to stop and change.
The ME is the mousse in the tyres?
Yeah.
So how far did you actually run with a puncture?
Well, okay, we ran from maybe 3 or 4 Ks into the stage till 10 Ks from the end, but then we had to stop and change because the tyre completely exploded.
Gilles Panizzi had driven superbly once again. With McRae suffering exactly the same problem which had cost him the lead 24 hours earlier, Panizzi had moved up to 3rd place by the end of leg 2. The leaders, though, couldn't have been more evenly matched.
Destra 2 meno lunga, 2 tempi il secondo apre. E sinistra 4 meno. Per sinistra 3 più 2 tempi il secondo apre 50.
Piero Liatti and Fabrizio Pons had grabbed the lead from their teammates on the stage before they punctured, but were now coming under attack from an increasingly confident Tommi Mäkinen and his co-driver Seppo Harjanne.
Pitkä vasen eri kiristyy, huomio heti oikein 10, pitkä oikein nopea miinus.
Had it not been for one slight driving error, Tommy would have been leading. As it was, amazingly, Mäkinen and Liatti ended the day sharing the lead. Not even a second separated the Subaru and the Mitsubishi after nearly 180 stage miles.
Tomorrow's stages are not so hard for the tires. Stages are not so long, and I think there's only last stage which is quite long and hard for the tires. Maybe there can happen something.
Piero, there's not even 1 second now between you and Tommy after 2 days of competition. Did you think it would be this close?
I think tomorrow morning is the maximum attack, and then I don't know.
So what is going to be the deciding factor?
Going flat out tomorrow as fast as possible.
We have been looking forward to the car being competitive, and I must admit it's been a bit nerve-wracking when there have been 2 Subarus and only 1 Mitsubishi, but now it's 1 of each, so we'll see what happens tomorrow.
With the lead shared and both Liatti and Mäkinen promising to go flat out, the final day was set to provide one of the closest finishes of the year so far. The others were now too far behind to influence the result. Early morning on day 3, and already the faithful were gathering. Mäkinen went first, only too aware that 5 stages would decide the rally. Next came Liatti.
Sinistra 2 per torno Antonio, destro chiude. Per sinistra 4 lunga.
But 3 seconds were lost to Mäkinen on the first stage and 6 on the next. Only 3 more stages remained.
Piero, not exactly the start to the day you would have wanted. What happened on the first 2 stages?
But the 2 stages is a problem because the iron inside the tire is very hot, and the problem is this is not good feeling for me.
Tommy, even for you, 9 seconds in 2 stages is really pushing it. Were you trying very hard this morning?
As hard as I can, but without mistakes. I'm very happy at the moment for the performance of car and mine. It's been very good.
There was drama too of a more unwelcome nature further down the top 10.
Francois, what happened this morning at Parc Fermé in Lorette de Mar?
This morning the car did not start, and for sure there was some spectator to help us and to push the car, but we had 30-second penalty, and somebody from Peugeot pushed our car, and we are out of the rally.
But it's been a great rally regardless for Peugeot.
Yeah. I think now everybody is speaking about the Peugeot. At the beginning of the rally, nobody was thinking that the car was so fast, and it's good for Peugeot. It's good for me also, because it's a comeback in the World Championship, and it was so important for me to be competitive in Catalonia.
As the battle at the top of the leaderboard continued, Medeghini brought his Subaru home in 5th place. A disappointed McRae was 4th, frustrated that he'd not been able to take part in the fight for victory. Equally disappointed was Panizzi, but third place and a podium finish was a just reward for such a superb drive.
But what of the thrilling encounter ahead of the Peugeot? On stage 16, Liati slipped another second behind, but then he was faster on the penultimate one. So Mäkinen would start the 18th and final stage with a lead of just 4 seconds.
Tommy, Piero got 6 seconds back on that last stage. You've got 1 stage to go before the finish. Can you hold him off?
So it's at least it's very interesting. I think it's biggest fight for a long time.
How did you get all that time back on that last stage?
Yeah, it's good. They changed the tire, and after the 2 stage in the morning, tire is good. Little bit is good.
Mäkinen was the first through the 22-mile stage, stopping the clock at 22 minutes and 40 seconds. Liati would have to drive at least 5 seconds faster if he was to snatch victory from the world champion. At the stage finish, the tension was clear to see as Mäkinen awaited the news of Liati's time.
Oh, Tommy, exactly the same time at the halfway point. Do you think it's enough to have won?
Yeah, I think it should be. We had. Okay, we never know. My tires was little bit warming up too much on somewhere after midpoint, but then I slowed down a little bit and the tires cooled down again and I start pushing again. But much better tire choice than first time. I'm quite happy.
Despite a terrific performance from Liati, it wasn't to be his day.
22.43, it's not enough, Piero. What a rally it's been, though. Very, very close.
Yes.
Congratulations, Tommy, you did it.
Thank you, thank you. I'm so happy. It was one of the most important event. I won my first proper tarmac event, and it's really something. It's like last year World Championship title. It's about the similar feeling at the moment.
So a delighted Mäkinen took his second successive win of 97, while Liati reflected that he'd lost the Rally Catalunya by exactly the same margin that had denied him victory last year. Mäkinen's now opened up a healthy lead in the Drivers' Championship. Liati shares second place with McRae, while the unlucky Ford duo of Seitz and Schwartz round off the top 5. In the manufacturers' table, Subaru still lead, but Mitsubishi have closed the gap to just 6 points.
I think this is the biggest bonus we could ever have wished for. I mean, to be quite honest, I'm quite sure Subaru were expecting to win this quite easily, quite comfortably, and probably Corsica too. And I think we'll really have upset the apple cart with this one.
For round 6, the World Championship moves to the twisty cliff-top roads of Corsica. Mitsubishi have shown that Subaru can't have it all their own way on tarmac. And for Colin McRae, the pressure is mounting. There's British rallying at this time next week with the Pirelli International in Motor Month. Top Gear Motorsport's back the following week when Dougie Lampkin takes on the world in Luxembourg. And you can see how I got on driving Colin McRae's World Rally car on the tarmac in Spain.